Everybody, it's Mitch and welcome to my next video. Today is Friday, which means it's time for another Dungeons and Dragons video. And today we are going to be talking about the Centaur. Yep, from the Races of the Wild. So the Centaur is, it's a pretty cool race. I actually really like them. A centaur, obviously half horse, half man. I'm sure almost all of you guys know what a centaur is. It's not like it's something that's particularly unusual. Oh, okay, kind of. But, I mean, everybody knows what it is. It's not, that's kind of what it is. But centaurs, they're the guardians of the forest. They tend to be archers. They're very fast and very strong. Like, if you're playing as a centaur, you get like a +8 to strength, +4 dex, +4 constitution, -2 intelligence. They're not the smartest. +2 wisdom. So they're very wise. That they're not the brightest. Only -2 though, so that's not too bad. But very strong. +8. That's insane. So if they happen to have an 18, that could be like a 26 score. That's ridiculous. They're large size, so they get all the penalties and bonuses for being large. Let's see. Same with space and reach. They get a 50 land speed. I mean, they're half horse. They're pretty fast. It's actually kind of slow for a horse, but still. They get dark vision out to 60 feet. That's pretty cool. Racial hit dice. They start with 4 hit dice. It's basically the animal hit dice, 48. And they get bonuses. Their saves are basically good reflex and will, I believe. Yeah. And bad fortitude. Racial skills, they get 7 times int, and that is 7 times 2 plus int. So that's not a whole lot. 7 is just they get 4 for first level and then 3 for the next. So that's why the 7. Their only skills are listen, move, silently, spot, and survival. Not great. They get 2 feats, 1 at first because they have 4 hit dice. So 1 at first and 1 at fourth. Hit dice, +2 natural armor bonus. That's pretty cool. Natural armor is always a benefit. Dang screen. Anyway, that was bugging me. Anyway, automatic languages Sylvan and Elven. Bonus languages Common, Gnome, and Halfling. Now that's kind of interesting because they don't have Common as an automatic language. Common is something they actually have to pick. So it's possible to get a centaur that doesn't speak Common, which could be very interesting in the group. Could cause some problems. They won't be able to understand. Generally the group talks in Common because like everybody speaks that. But if this guy doesn't, that could be interesting. I haven't seen a group that had that yet. Might be a good idea to pick that if you're adventuring though. Favorite class Ranger and level adjustment of 2. So what all those racial levels and level adjustments means is basically you got 6 levels under your belt when you start this. So if you want to take like a level of Ranger, you're 7th level already. That's really huge. So by 20th level, you'll be able to have basically be a 14th level Ranger if you want Ranger. And you're level 20. So that's kind of problematic. There's ways of reducing level adjustment, but that's just the 2 level adjustments. You can't those racial levels. You can't get rid of those. They are what they are. But those give you hit dice. They give you a lot of stuff. You do get things for those. It's just not as good as what you could get for an actual character class. Unlike level adjustment, where it's just, yeah, you're too strong. We're knocking you down a level. That's basically the difference on that. And they got both. Which isn't too uncommon, especially for such a powerful race like these guys. I mean, you saw that +8 strength, and I mean, their stat pool is just enormous. But it makes sense. Let's see. These guys are very nomadic. They're hunters. Druid is a common class for them as well. It's not as common as Ranger, but it's common. I imagine Fighter's probably fairly common for them as well. These guys, if adventurers are shunned. These guys hate, these guys shun humans. Like, they don't hate them, but they shun them. They're like, they just don't deal with you. they're not going to attack you, but they just want you to stay the frick away. That's true with most races. They don't mention it, but I suspect dwarves especially. Um, they probably don't deal with dwarves that much, but I suspect they're not the friendliest with them when they do encounter them. They do rather like elves and halflings and catfolk and other nomadic races. They'd probably they'd probably actually get along pretty well with the Goliaths too. Actually, like I said, it's not mentioned since they both come from different supplement books, but I suspect these guys would get along well with the Goliath, just since they're both very nomadic. They both have a lot of the same powerful traits. They both have, I think they would get along quite well actually. Yeah. Although I suspect they wouldn't run into each other a whole lot. Let's see. If you're going to be playing one of these guys, one thing you definitely need to know is Centaurs do not like being mounted. They hate the idea of being mounted. Like a lot of races, they see that, oh, they're half horse, so that's a potential mount, and they can't stand that crap. They won't even let like their friends do it, except for in dire situations. Like the only time they'd consider letting somebody mount them would be if they were like one of their best friends, like one of their comrades was like dying, or like it was a desperate situation. Like maybe it's like say your group was being overrun by this group. There's no way you could beat them. They're going to take you down. Your only hope of survival was to flee. Otherwise, you're going to be dead. And one of your party members has a horse, but one of them doesn't. Like one of the guys just doesn't have a way of escaping. In a situation like that, the Centaur would probably very begrudgingly allow that character to mount him or her in order to flee. But that would it'd take us. That's probably like one of the most the least extreme situations that they would actually allow that. It's got to be pretty serious, like life or death, or else they're not going to allow. These are humans. I mean, that's like, to them that'd be like you getting on your hands and knees and like letting somebody, giving a piggyback, like, that'd be very similar to that. To them, they see that in a very similar way. Especially like an adult. I mean, maybe they'd be okay with like little kids, but that'd be to an extent, to the same extent that you do. Like if everybody was asking you to do it, they'd be like, well, what the heck, very similar in that. So, although I can't see little kids generally aren't adventuring, but that's more something that potentially run into in like a town or something. It's not mentioned in the book at all, but I could see that. I mean, it just makes sense. Centaurs also, because of their form, there's certain skills that they can't really do so well, like climb. They're not really suited to climb. I mean, they got hooves and they got the one on. I mean, plus they got like half their body to just be hanging. That would be like they're like walking a tightrope. Now, I wouldn't say they can't do these things. I would just say they take a pretty severe penalty, like at least a -20 on these, just because of how ridiculous. Another thing that they don't mention in the book, which I would say definitely for sure would be armor. If these guys are actually going to be wearing armor, you're probably going to have to pay extra. Well, you're definitely going to have to pay extra because one, you're going to have to get it suited for a large character, which costs a little more, and two, for a an odd size. So you're going to have to be paying a lot extra on your armor for Centaurs. These guys tend to use lighter armor, so it shouldn't be as big a deal. Also, on top of that, you got to think about your weapons, which these guys can use bigger weapons. Composite crossbows are something they're really big with. Just because they're really strong, they're really fast, so they can take advantage of all that. They like feats like shot on the run. These guys are also very deliberate with how they speak. I know this is a little bit random, but they speak very deliberately. Like they're the kind of guys that choose their words very carefully. They don't just speak impulsively. So that's another thing you should definitely consider when you're playing one of these guys. There's also an option, just so you guys know, to play these guys starting at level 1, so you don't have to wait till level 7 to join the group. You can actually join like an early on group. There's actually a level progression chart on page 98 here, so you can check that out. I'd recommend that if you're going to be starting as a fresh player. Now, if you're doing a higher level game where you start at a higher level, or maybe your character's new, okay, let's just start with your standard base stuff. Just make sure when you're doing that, you keep in mind that you got to use the separate racial traits that are designed for that, which are a lot lower. Basically, the stuff that you get will balance out. So by the time you hit level 6, you'll have everything that you had, that you get for that. It's going to take you some time to get it. That way you can start at an earlier level. That's basically what it is. Yeah, these guys hate gnolls too. These guys are open-minded enough to like trust an individual gnoll if they prove trustworthy. Maybe someone else in the group is a gnoll, and you're like, oh well, he's actually not so bad. Most of their kind of crap, I can't stand them. I'll hunt them for sure. But like this one guy's okay in my book. They're open-minded enough for that. So yeah, they're not stupid. I mean, they do have a -2 intelligence, but that's not that bad. That's only a -2, and they have a +2 to wisdom, so they're actually pretty wise. Which means they're good at making decisions. They're just not that knowledgeable, which makes sense. They're nomadic. They don't study books a lot. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about the Centaurs. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, consider sharing it. Let your friends see it as well. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing. We do one of these videos every Friday, plus another video every Friday as well. So definitely check that out. We also do Dungeons & Dragons story videos every Thursday. On Wednesday, we do videos where I talk a little bit about myself, let you get to know me a little bit. Saturdays, we do Naruto character reviews. Sundays, we talk about Pokemon. And then Mondays, Mondays we have videos as well. So that's, I guess, all I have to say. So subscribe if you're interested in any of that. But anyways, as always, I'm Mitch, and I'll be seeing you.